Do a sound check.
Oh.
Yeah, you can.
Mayor Law, can you hear us?
I can now. It's that I think a staff member was talking, but it was super garbled. But
You appear to be muted, or
you can't hear me? Can you hear me?
we got you now.
Am I clear?
You're clear. It looks like you're in the back of your truck.
I'm in the front of my car.
Great. It is 4:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order today. And first, to acknowledge that the District of Tofino operates within the territory of the Tla-o-qui-aht First Nation, and we are grateful for that. And notice to attendees that the meeting is being recorded and be published on the District of Tofino's YouTube channel. And notice to virtual attendees to sign up for public comment and question period using the Q&A function in Zoom. The registered participants are required to enter their full name, residential address, and the agenda item they wish to speak to. And through unanimous consent, I'll move that the where are we there? Pursuant to Section 15 of the District of Tofino Meeting Procedure Bylaw number 1229/2016, as amended, the November 25th, 2025 regular meeting be held electronically via Zoom and live broadcasted on the District of Tofino's YouTube channel, and that the facility provided for that public to watch and hear the meeting be located at the Clackett Sound Community Theater, 380 Campbell Street in Tofino, BC. Objection, motion carried. And that the November 25th, 2025 regular council agenda will be adopted. None. Motion carried. And through consent agenda, that items 4.1 to 4.6 of the consent agenda on the regular council meeting held November 25th, 2025 be approved and received. Objections. And the mayor's report. Well, I have, and Mayor Law is attending there, but I did have a quick little report touching on a few basically community events. Mayor Law and I were fortunate enough to be able to attend the WePack fundraiser, which was an incredible event. Lots of fun, good music, good food, and really a community success story there. Funds were raised, and a lot of those funds are going to go to the wonderful swim program at the Wickeninish Elementary School from K through 7. Almost every student, I believe, can have access to swimming program this year, and so some of that funding is going to go towards that. There's a number of community events coming up here, and on November 29th at 5 p.m. till late, Jingle into Christmas. Going to be lots of stores participating in that. Get out there if you can. And then on November 29th, between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., our winter market at the community hall. There's going to be up to 50 vendors there. So I really encourage, it's a great event to head on out. Then and a big one, of course, December 6th, between 10 a.m. and noon, breakfast with Santa at the community hall, and I will be there. I don't get to be Santa this year, but that's okay. And then on December 12th, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., the community dance and at the community hall. So those are just a few of the community events that are coming up here in November and early December. Next on the agenda, we have public comment on agenda items, and I do believe we have in the gallery, but I'll look up to Ms. McDonald here if there is anyone in the gallery that wishes to participate.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Stere. So we do have some folks online here. If you'd like to make a comment, please enter your name and your address, as well as the agenda item you're speaking to in the chat now. And then for the folks in the gallery, we'll ask you to raise your hand. I'll make the call for everyone in the chat first here. So for those of you online, once again, please enter your name, calling once, calling twice, calling 3 times, no one in the chat. And then for those of you in the gallery, please raise your hand if you'd like to make a comment. Calling once. And it looks like we have
the 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Welcome, and I think you probably got the information that state your name, address, and the agenda item you wish to see.
Yes.
Welcome. Thank you for coming.
Okay, yes, thank you. Yeah, so my name is Brian Gould. I'm with my wife, Lana Gould, here today from 1241 Howard Road. And we wanted to discuss agenda item 9.4, which is our correspondence, which is a letter regarding water allocation certificate concerns. So we're a family that have owned in Tofino since 2017, and we're looking to build a home for our family as well as a long-term rental suite. This spring and summer, we purchased one of the last single-family residential lots in the neighborhood of Chesterman Estates on Howard Road. Now, I won't go into detail, but there's some background information in the letter, but I wanted to speak to 3 key points in the letter. One is a lack of transparency and due diligence gap. Despite extensive due diligence, including consultations with district planning staff, builders, and other local professionals, no one advised us that the water allocation certificate scarcity could prevent us from building on our newly purchased property. We only learned of the shortage after investing in architects, surveyors, and engineers through the summer and through forwarded emails indicating that most certificates had recently been allocated to a new development. We found out in the fall, just a month or 2 ago. So this represents a serious breakdown in communication and transparency. The second point is a significant financial and personal hardship. So we purchased the property specifically to build immediately, both as our long-term retirement home, as well as we wanted to have a long-term rental suite to support local housing needs. And we're now being asked to invest further funds in planning and site preparation with no guarantee of receiving a water certificate. And we've been told it might be 10 or more years before new water sources could be available. So this leaves us with a property we may not be able to build on or even sell, creating severe financial and personal uncertainty. Third point is we respectfully ask council to acknowledge the unique and urgent position we've been placed in and to provide a clear plan for how residents in similar situations will be supported once the WACs run out. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming in and explaining the letter in detail. Thank you for that. Look to council if there's any comments or. No, I'm just going to, if there's, I know that there is a report coming from staff in the new year regarding the policy, the LTG, and look forward to that. I'll just maybe look to staff right now. Thank you.
Sure.
Go ahead.
During comment period, council can receive comments from members of the public. When you get to the correspondence section of the agenda, that is council's opportunity.
Thank you. We'll move on into the agenda. There was nobody else signed up at this point. Great, thank you. Move on with the agenda. There are no delegations today. There are a number of correspondence that have come forward on our agenda. Each one, we'll start with 9.1 correspondence, regarding request for district purchase a decibel reader. At this time now, I can look to council if there is comment or, thank you, go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, I was reading this letter and then I reviewed our noise bylaws and I think for clarity, I'd like to ask staff if my understanding of the bylaw is correct, that there is no limit on sound levels coming from private properties or time periods where this kind of noises could occur. Yes.
Through the chair, I'm going to see if Mr. Winter says he answered that.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. Through the chair to Councilwoman, we do have noise constraints set up in our public use and property bylaw. It doesn't speak to decibels particularly, it does speak to continuous noise. And so if council was interested in addressing the concerns raised in the letter, it's likely we'd go back to the bylaw first in the sense of determining what council and community wants to see in terms of noise, the types of noise and when and where. So there is some language in there currently. It's fairly broad and it doesn't speak to decibels, for example, or decibel levels. It definitely could be looked at.
Can I have a So would I therefore then ask to refer this letter to staff? Would that start the process of that?
Through the chair, Councilwoman, that would be one method, yeah, and that would be sort of probably staff come back and outline what the possible options may be in the process, suggested processes to get from there.
We need a resolution for that. Yes, I thought so. Councillor Sloan, would you like to move? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, questions up here as well.
Got one up there. Thank you, Mayor Law. Go ahead, please.
I think Duncan might have had his, or Councillor Master might have had his hand up first. but go ahead.
Okay,
No.
I think the last time I had a letter from this person, we referred it to staff and they indicated they would update the whatever bylaws it was to do with noise. And we acknowledged that staff was busy at the time and we didn't expect to see anything for the new year. Is that still correct?
Through the chair, I don't think we have information on that right now. I can't recall.
Okay.
Was it, you know, there was a resolution to that effect or?
Yeah.
Mayor Law, do you have a question?
A question for staff. How are noise complaints in like this similar dealt with now by bylaw? Since we do have some bylaws mentioning some noise, how do they deal with them?
Through the chair, to Mayor Law, the bylaw officers would likely attend the scene, understand what was happening, and then refer back to our bylaws to see if it was something contrary to our bylaws. I don't know the specifics of this issue. I believe it had to do with construction noise over a length of time. And I believe that our bylaw talks about continuous noise, which I think is defined differently than that. So at this point, we're constrained with the regulations in our bylaw about what we can and can't regulate, or sorry, we enforce.
Dr. Stillman, did you want to make a motion for? Yeah.
I would like to move that the correspondence 9.1 from Zoe Radakanecki regarding the purchasing of a decibel reader be referred to staff.
Councillor Thomas, call question, all those in favor? And then opposed, motion carried. Next on our agenda for correspondence from Elaine Fletty regarding Tofino Library and affordable housing proposal. Any comments from council regarding the letter?
Sure, I'll speak to this item, which also is a similar comment on the following item. So, it's just, it's welcome to see public engagement on this, and I understand it was a bit of there have been a few change of course with the library discussions lately, and so I do just want to thank Ms. Woody as well as the next letter writer for writing in, and encourage everyone to keep corresponding and keep being part of ongoing discussions, and thank them for their letters.
Any other comments from council? Seeing none, and I think you've alluded to the next letter of correspondence from C. Lowther regarding similar topic, and I think that probably answers that. The next letter was
Sorry,
from.
I have a comment.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, Mayor Law. I keep forgetting to look up the screen.
Just want to clarify, there was a comment in the letter about the bike park place and what it's being used for. And I just want to clarify for the letter writer and anybody in attendance that that is scheduled for recreation in the future, and that all uses are temporary at this time. So I just want to clarify that.
Great. Thank you, Mayor Law. I appreciate that. Next up on our correspondence from LMB Gould regarding water allocation certificate concerns, and now would be our time if council would like to comment on the letter and on the discussion that followed through.
I think begin to make comments. Do you want to?
Yeah, maybe I'll. There's no other comments from council. I was about to comment about the fact that we do have. Mayor Law. I will go up to the screen. Thank you. I'll start with Mayor Law.
I'll just use my voice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Through the chair. Thanks for recognizing me. Just a question for staff. The letter writer notes that the purchase of the property was in June, if I'm not mistaken. Can I have that that date And also, how did that correspond? There was a change in the water allocation or limits to growth calculations, I believe about that time. I just wanted maybe those two dates and how they may have converged.
I'll look to staff if.
Sure. To the chair, Mayor Locke, could you possibly reiterate your question? I don't quite understand what you're asking.
The letter, and I apologize, I'm missing my my normal information right here. But it was a question about the letter, just to confirm the letter writer's purchase of the property, the date of that purchase, and also there was a change in limits to growth policy calculation based on dwelling type, and I just wanted those two dates just confirmed. Thanks.
Right. I do not have an answer to that at this time. I'm not sure which calculation the law is referring to.
Through the chair, I may be able to help or clarify in the correspondence received. It states that the townhouse was, or no, sorry. 27.
If I may, I don't have a mention of date in the letter, but I think, I don't know if we're allowed to look to the gallery, but I think that maybe Mayor Law is referring to a comment that was made in comment to the agenda item by the Goulds when they spoke.
It's I wasn't going to ask it in the comment period, but yeah, no, there was a comment about the purchase property, the purchase date. I just wanted that clarified, and apologize if it's not in the letter. Maybe it was in the comment.
Yeah.
Through the chair, yes, apologies. I didn't note the purchase date. I am aware that the policy, the limits to growth policy, there were amendments to that earlier this year, June 24th, I recall. So that would be the date of the policy amendment, but unfortunately we don't have the purchase date of the property here today.
Okay, that was in the comment, not in the letter. That's right. Thanks.
I'll look to the council before I jump in if there's any other. What I might see.
Oh, sorry, I was
Councillor Thomas, go ahead.
just going to say, I assume that we'll be referring this to staff as we have with the other one, because there will be a few unique situations that staff are gonna help us with some options for navigating.
Yeah, I think you took the words out of my mouth. So my recommendation on this would referring it to staff to be considered in the upcoming LTG policy review. And I'll look to staff, should that be a resolution as well, or yes? So maybe I'll just quickly move from the chair then to refer to staff to be considered in the upcoming LTG policy review. Second to Councillor Thomas. Any further comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carried. Yay. Moving on with the agenda. Quite a number of correspondence today. And the next is 9.5, correspondence from Michelle Hall, fundraiser and donation relations, Clackwood Biosphere Trust, regarding request for letter of support to the province of British Columbia for the Biosphere Center. I have the Councillor Tom.
If it's still relevant, I see no issues assigning this. There was a request that it be returned by November 7th if possible. So we might want to connect with the letter writer and see if it's still of use for us to assign.
I believe it is, but I'll look to Ms. Tatiana.
Thank you. Through the chair, there was an urgency to have the letter signed off, but we did indicate to CBT that it had to come before council. So there's still interest from CBT to have this looked at.
Great, and if there's other, I have a potential recommendation here that maybe I'll just read from the chair. Correspondence from Michelle Hall, fundraiser and donations, Clackwood Biosphere Trust regarding letter of recommendation that on behalf of the District of Tofino acting Mayor Stere be authorized to sign the Tla-o-qui-aht Biosphere Trust Regional Joint Letter, the Province of British Columbia requesting financial support for the Biosphere Center project. Second to Councillor Thomas. Any further comment? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carried. And 9.6 corresponds from the Alberta Tla-o-qui-aht Health Network Table of Partners regarding 2026 call for members. And there is a recommendation for motion on the table. I'll look to the council. I can speak a little bit to this, having been a member of the table historically. So I will speak then, if there's no other. It is a valuable table to be sitting on. We have had representation. I've sat on that table. Former councillor Thick sat on the table as well. And a lot of the work that's done there, coming from the regional perspective of where we are, I think it would be valuable for us once again to put an application in to sit on that table. If there is anybody here that would be interested, I can certainly put my name forward, having sat there before, very familiar with the terms of reference associated with the work that's been done there. Seeing nobody jumping up and volunteering. Fair law. Thank you. Thank you. I'll endeavor to look up into the screen. We're just not used to it.
It is a dark picture, I admit. But
the hand is very bright, let me say. Yeah.
That's right, I'm trying. But no, just a comment. I had been asked to sit on this committee some time ago, and unfortunately my spouse, Molly, sits on the committee with the RCMP Victim Services. So just to note why I'm not sitting on there is that our schedules conflict. So I'd be happy to support Councillor Stere to sit on that committee.
I'll look to the rest of the council, so I can read the recommendation that Councillor Stere apply to represent the District of Tofino on the Alberta Tla-o-qui-aht Health Network Table of Partners for a term ending the earliest of council appoints another council member. The council member ceases to hold office the date of the inaugural meeting in the year of a general local election. Thank Councillor McMaster. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carried. Whew, okay. I think we're on to the last one here. Correspondence from the Association of Vancouver Island Coastal Communities regarding the 2026 ABICC AGM and Convention, resolutions, nominations, sessions, and students. And once again, there is a recommendation on there. So anyone wants to quickly speak? I can just read out the recommendation unless there's any comments.
I would like to go.
Yeah.
Are we gonna
Yes,
have to call
I'm
names?
going to make the assumption that most people, I'm going to look over to Councillor McMaster if he's interested in attending this year, and then I'll look to all of council to add the names into the recommendation that would like to go. I'll just a raise of hands. Anybody, make it easier. Anyone who's not interested in going this year? You're not.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think I can, unfortunately.
Can we, would it be okay to, if we put Councillor Sawyer's name in it, and then if she can't, then you can just to leave that space open, or would that be asking?
To the chair, it's up to council. Sometimes you can say up to a specific number of council members. You don't necessarily have to list everybody. Whatever council wishes.
I'm just wondering. I think the deadline to register is in January. Is it soon? Right?
Usually end of January.
Yeah. So I can put my name in, but then withdraw in January if I find out I can't.
What I'll do is maybe what I'll do is that that 7 members of Duncan, you're
I might make a final appearance.
hey,
Duncan's going.
so I'll move then that 7 councils members be authorized to attend the 2026 Association of Vancouver Island Coastal Communities AGM and Convention held April 24 through 26, 2026 in Victoria, BC, and being reimbursed for costs in accordance with the District of Tofino Council Remuneration Bylaw number 1254/2018. Seconded by Councillor Sloman. No other comments, I suspect. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carried. Woo. Okay, got through correspondence. Next up on the agenda, presentations and reports. And I believe first one up is an invited presentation from Ian Scott, consultant of City Space regarding the 2026 Tofino Housing Corporation Affordable Housing Municipal and Regional District Tax Plan. And I stand up on the screen there.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Good to be with you again this evening. Coming from the very rainy territories of the Lekwungen speaking peoples, the Songhees and Esquimalt First Nation, and honored once again to be discussing issues related to the work that the Tofino Housing Corporation does in the territories of the Tla-o-qui-aht. And honored to have had the opportunity to work with you and in their territory for the last number of years. I'm just going to share my screen. I believe you guys can, everyone can see this. I'm going to try to keep this really brief. In terms of the summary of what's happened in 2025.
Excuse me, Mr. Scott, your presentation is just that's getting bigger and better.
It's in speaker mode, I believe that's what it's referred to. It just needs to go into presentation mode.
Oh, okay.
There
Is that
we
better?
are.
Sorry.
Perfect.
So yeah, so in terms of 2025, the MRDT OAP was only partially spent. In terms of the activities, the pre-development activities that happened, there wasn't a need to spend all the money this year, and that's been a consistent theme as effectively the Tofino Housing Corporation is gaining some money to be able to invest in the right project or projects from a equity contribution similar to what occurred at both Creekside and Headwaters in terms of having funds to spend on both pre-development or into the project itself once it gets to construction. The other part of what happened this year was completing the library housing feasibility study. Some of that work was completed by City Spaces Consulting under my direction, but there was significant involvement from other consultants. And as we had discussed last month, the current direction that I understand is pivoting to another library option, cognizant of some of the feedback that you received tonight from the community. A site selection study was completed, largely supported by the Housing Accelerator Fund funding, and we identified 740 Campbell as the top priority for next work, which you can see reflected in the 2026 plan. We completed designs for the Headwaters fourplex for a traditional stick-built approach based on the costing we got back from two sources. We've been pivoting to looking at modular options and have had some really encouraging meetings and feedback from Muchalat, who are based in Courtenay, who can do a light, basically we can build essentially what's built or what has been designed with some small changes under their supervision. So we're working on that change and looking to put that in front of BC Builds here in the next couple of months. I was at Housing Central last week, and one of the key presentations was from Lisa Helps at BC Builds and CMHC emphasizing their timelines and identifying that getting things in before January for next year is a key milestone from them. In terms of the money that's received, this is a chart of the funds as they flowed in from MRDT. The whole process is slightly awkward as we're doing our 2026 plan before we know exactly how much money is being received in 2025. But in terms of the type of work that THC is doing, it's not an impediment. Last year, when this was presented to council, we thought we might make it to about a $650,000 contribution from MRDT, OAP. You can see up till now in 2025, we're only at 514,000. That said, the strike as well as the Canada Post, both the Canada Post strike and the provincial strike, may have affected some of the returns over the last few months. Back in 2024, we understood we might get to about 600,000 for 2024, and we were just short of that. We have budgeted again for 650,000 for the year going forward. We may or may not receive that amount in 2026. So when you look at money not spent in past years as well as 2025, the year end is going to be about 1.1 million or so in terms of cash to, like I said, invest in those projects. The 2026 budget has been allocated 100,000 to the Peterson Drive fourplex project, 415,000 to the 740 Campbell Street project, 100,000 to looking at the designs that were developed for 381 and 385 Main Street and how might we pivot those and adjust them to be a modular or factory built design. Really thinking that at Housing Central, and when you look at the recent investment prospectus that was put out by Build Canada Homes over the weekend, there's a real strong focus on what they call modern methods of construction, or working with modular or factory built design approaches. And just for council's benefit, the distinction between a modular or factory built approach would be modular is really what folks in the industry like to call volumetric modular. So really a box where you're shipping boxes and you have volumes of spaces within those boxes. A factory built design can include some components that are built in factories and then shipped and assembled on site. So it can be walls, it can be whole kitchens and bathrooms in boxes or in pieces. It's an approach that's used in other countries more often than we do here, although it's much more common now to get wall panels or other components of the build. And BC Housing has launched a new program called DASH, where they're looking to really try to facilitate this more effectively for the whole industry, especially the affordable housing industry. But the idea is to look at how, without spending too much pre-development money on the Main Street project, how it might be converted. Can we get the numbers to look better so that we are positioned as a more shovel-ready project for the right kind of funding opportunity that emerges? It's still really unclear what kind of opportunity, if any, Build Canada Homes will be for Tofino. And then 35,000 for kind of ongoing work on new partnerships, regional collaboration, and ongoing partnership with the District of Tofino. One of the other activity areas of THC is running the Mount Colnet Seniors Housing, and that's outside of the MRDT budgeting process. So really, when you look forward to 2026, key decisions for the board and for the Housing Corporation are how to leverage these MRDT funds to get affordable housing. That has been the approach that has worked up until now for the Housing Corporation. And so I think the board has always been quite cautious on how to, how much to allocate per unit to any one project so that it can spread its leveraging power around to the best effect. Thirdly, really is are we able to find a more affordable way to build factory built or modular? In Tofino, our initial consultations with Muchalat have been really positive about the Peterson Drive fourplex, and what that will mean for, say, 740 Campbell or Main Street or another future THC project is still to be determined. So with that, I can take any questions.
Thank you, Ian. Appreciate the presentation once again. And if you can maybe drop your screen share, and I can thank you. I'll look to council if there's any questions or comments for Mr. Scott. Mayor Law, go ahead, please.
Thanks, through the chair. I just want to say thanks to Ian. I know a lot of this, it's taken a lot of work, and I think Ian's done a tremendous job navigating all the complexities. And I do want to acknowledge that the cost of building now across the board, especially in Tofino, is so high that it's a significant hurdle to try to overcome. And I'm happy to see the direction, working through modular and factory built, and hopefully that can compensate for the Tofino factor. That's I just want to say thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments from council? Seeing none, I want to thank you again, Ian, and appreciate, as Mayor Law pointed out, the work, and we know the complexities that go into it, and continue. We're very hopeful and positive. Some of the in terms of those modular constructions, and potentially to get some new builds completed here in 2026. So thanks again. Moving on with the.
Thank you. Good evening.
Take care. Moving on with the agenda. Next is up 10.2 Tofino Community Hall Renewal Kitchen Report from Community Services. Welcome, Ms. Hutchinson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Do I have power here now?
You got a lot of power.
Great. I know it was not working for a while, so anyway, I will be presenting on the Tofino Community Hall renewal, specifically the kitchen aspect of the project. So just a little refresher, this project was previously approved in the previous Tofino Community Hall renewal project that addressed both the foyer and the kitchen. And the goal of this project, specifically the kitchen, is really to support increased recreational programming such as cooking workshops and food preparation for seniors program and youth programs, facility rentals, and also emergency reception center activations so that we can feed the community in the event of an emergency. Staff were also very successful in procuring a $100,000 grant for this project through United Way. So what we're hoping to achieve with this project would be upgrading from household appliances to commercial grade appliances. So that would include the dishwasher, stove, stainless steel countertops, and actual big sinks to wash big pots in. And then also the installation of kitchen exhaust system to support the hookup of the currently of the big gas range that is currently in it. So to this point, staff have released a request for proposals for the project. So that was issued on September 19th, 2025, and that closed October 23rd, 2025. From that call, we received 4 proposals, which all exceeded the approved budgeted amount in the 2020 financial plan, which brings me back to this meeting here. And proposals that were received were still evaluated based on the following selection criteria within the RFP call. And so that is prioritizing price, and then project methodology, past projects of similar size, scope, and complexity, project schedule, and references. And so out of the 4 proposals received, the highest rated proposal was Kircher Projects and Construction, scoring the highest based on that criteria. So when looking at the increases for the project budget, they were linked to inflation of the labor and material costs from the initial costing that the estimates that were done early on in the project. Design changes related to the exhaust system. So we were really hoping to go out the side wall of the kitchen, but it was deemed better to go out through the roof. And then we've also included in this request to council today the addition of a project contingency to manage risks related to the project. So that includes conditions of the building envelope and structures for the kitchen exhaust detail, supply air louver, and any unknown floor conditions we might encounter when we pull up sinks and dishwashers. And potential for any additional electric work, any unknown plumbing conditions, and general changes that may be required during construction and commissioning. So a little bit about the budget now. So the overall total project budget, we are now looking at to be just over 282,000, with the construction contract, the contract within that being just over 245,000, and then the 15% contingency of 36,866. Staff are requesting the difference for this project to be pulled from the recreation facility reserve at this time. And then just a little note on timeline. So pending the outcome of this presentation, we would like to notify the successful and award the project as soon as possible. And then they can start the timeline of initiating the project, starting procurement of equipment, and commencing construction. And we're hoping to have this all wrapped up by March of 2026. One note that I will flag for council here today is that the United Way grant that we were lucky to receive does need to be spent by the end of this year. So we do run the risk of losing that grant if we don't proceed with the project. So with this in mind, staff are making the following recommendation, and but should council choose not to proceed this way, we may wish to collapse the process and refer it back to the 2026 to 2030.
Once again, I'll look to council for any comments, questions.
Yeah, I just know that the community hall kitchen is really well used within the community, and the improvements are really needed. And so I think I will support this motion.
Mayor Law. Thank Councilor McMaster.
Yeah, just a comment, then a question, actually. I'm in support of this. It's great to see the facilities for recreation getting augmented and improved, and this is a great project. Just a question about the Recreation Facilities Reserve. I know that it's being amended, the 2026. Does it come out, because council's made some motions about topping up that reserve, Recreation Facilities Reserve from the Pay Parking Reserve Fund, General Pay Parking Reserve Fund, and I wonder how that, just a question, maybe how that will impact council's previous desire to see that fund topped up. Will this be topped up as well with the General Pay Parking Reserve Fund, or does that come at a later date? Maybe it's a little bit of a financial plan question, but just a question. But I'm in favor.
That's Hannah. I see your hand coming up quickly there.
Thank you. I'll do my best to answer this question. Council will be receiving a follow-up report on December 9th regarding the pay parking surplus allocation. There was fairly broad support for topping up the recreation facilities reserve for the two projects that have already taken place. I think if we use these funds and then top up that reserve fund with that pay parking unallocated amount, it's going to compromise our ability to move those surplus funds into the other two areas, which is the more general pay parking reserve and then the roads reserve. So council can contemplate that on December 9th. I think making its allocation towards this project doesn't sort of set that, the discussion at the financial plan meeting in stone. I think there's some flexibility there. So it'd be okay if council were to proceed and then have another look at those allocations on December 9th.
Right. Councilor McMaster.
I'm in support of this. Just a quick question with upgrading the electrical. Can we ensure that we'll be able to accommodate some, say, portable induction cooking tops, which would be handy during large community events or cooking classes?
Through the chair. So when we were originally looking at equipment, specifically the stove tops, we did actually look at induction cooking tops versus gas and electric, all those things. The one thing that we kind of continue to come up against is the usability of it over the long term, and they can get quite easily damaged if they're not cleaned properly. And so with it being a community space with lots of users potentially using it, there was a desire to maybe continue on with the existing. So we have a big gas commercial stove already in place. And so we opted to go that way to also save money on cooking equipment.
Yeah, I think you're misunderstanding me. I'm not talking about replacing the gas range. I mean, you can buy a portable induction top for $50 to $100 now. And I'm saying that it would be handy to have the ability to be able to plug some of those in when you have a large event. That's all. Talking about replacing the range.
Yeah, through the chair, I think that's probably something we can look at under small grants such as the New Horizons Seniors Grant when we're looking at refurbishing some of our kitchen equipment. So I'll add that to the list. It's a great option to have back up.
Thank you.
Any other comments from council?
I have one quick one. Just a clarification. I think Council McMaster is not talking necessarily about the induction units themselves, but the power that's required to run them. They do, if that is something that recreation staff are interested in, they do require a lot of power, even though they're small and tabletop. And I think that the electrical upgrade to allow future purchase of those is what Councillor McMaster is talking about, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Apologies. Through the chair, I'm going to actually refer that to our manager of infrastructure, Mr. Kreba, because he has some information.
Thank you. Through the chair, the kitchen will have to be in compliance with the Canadian Electric Code, which has a minimum requirement for outlets within a kitchen area that can facilitate all those induction ranges that are plugging units. Permanently installed cookers over a certain wattage require additional power, but this is not what is being discussed.
Right. Thank you. Any comments or?
I'll move the recommendation, if you like. I move that the Tofino Community Hall renewal kitchen construction contract be awarded to Church of Projects and Construction Limited based on their proposed price of $5,777 plus GST, and that the Tofino Community Hall renewal kitchen project budget be increased from $167,000 to $282,643, and that the District of Tofino 2025-2029 financial planning bylaw number 1353/2026 be amended to update the project funding to $98,814 from grant funding, United Way Critical Food Infrastructure Grant, $36,700 from the REC Equipment Reserve, unrestricted, $35,486 from the Paid Parking Reserve Fund, and $115,643 from the Recreation Facilities Reserve Fund.
Thank you, Councillor Fox. You got the any further comments? I just have a quick one. I'm really much looking forward to these renovations. This has been a long time coming. This is going to increase the versatility of our community hall to be allow it to do many of the things it has not been able to do in the past. So I'm very much looking. This goes back a long time ago. So very much looking forward to that. All those in.
Just one comment. Just good work on acquiring the grant funding for this. And want to move on this now before we lose that, and also for construction costs increase again. I think the first look at this, we're talking about somewhere 50 or 60,000 for this upgrade, and it's growing down longer we wait to get it done. So,
Councillor Anderson, I'll then call the question. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carried. On our agenda, we're coming up here. 10.3 zoning amendment bylaw number 1352 691 Campbell Street, first and second reading. Welcome.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The first of two zoning amendments this evening, starting with the 691 Campbell Street property. So this zoning amendment is largely focused around conversion of an industrial lot to a residential use. So it's located at 691 Campbell Street. As you can see, it's surrounded by residential properties. The total area is about 3/4 of an acre. It's within the village land use designation as well as the village containment area. It's currently, as mentioned, zoned industrial. So we're looking to move from an M2 zone into a residential zone, and that residential zone is going to be a new zone. This, as I mentioned, this property is currently an industrial space, and so it's being used for light industrial. There are two structures on the property, one being a warehouse and one being a workshop that are going to be redeveloped. So the resulting zoning is going to permit a total of 11 dwelling units, one being a single family dwelling, and then one multifamily dwelling, which is going to consist of 10 units. And that's a mix of 2 and 3 bedrooms. Some highlights. This proposal generally aligns with a lot of our land use policy, including the Vision Tax and ROCP, and then general land use policy for the village area. Some of the major features being that it meets a lot of our sustainability objectives on both the development side of things as well as when we're looking to growth. This is definitely the housing typology that we're looking for. The RM4 zone also provides a little bit of flexibility. So the intent with the zone was to accommodate the proposal, but also to allow for flexibility, understanding that there are some elements of this development that are going to involve some exploratory works that might result in, sort of reconsidering the feasibility of the redevelopment. So I wanted to build into that zone the ability to adapt to unknown circumstances that may arise. This zone is generally going to provide for multifamily developments in other areas of the community if people wish to latch onto this opportunity. But the intensity is governed by height coverage and then just doubling down on that with an FAR of 1.5 to manage our density. Some of these zone features that sort of separate it from other multifamily developments or districts that we currently have established in the zoning bylaw is that there's a mix of alignment with existing zones as well as some of the site standards that were provided by the province in our small scale development housing manual. So although the district is exempt from a lot of those policies, we still want to sort of meet the province in a lot of those ways. So brought in some of the zoning provisions such as setbacks as well as height allowances to accommodate that. The zone will accommodate as well home occupations, but will explicitly exclude short-term rentals as well as bed and breakfast uses. There's also some creative aspects of this zone that were inspired by the design itself in that it integrates the usable open space and that it's formalized in the zone, as well as some landscaping provisions to support the benefits, socio-environmental benefits. There is a single family dwelling that is proposed for this specific site, but recognizing that this RM4 zone is going to be focused on multi-development or multi-family development. There is a site-specific accommodation for that single-family dwelling. So it is a general zone that will provide an allowance for the 691 Campbell Street that will provide for the construction of a single-family dwelling, but accessory to that multi-family development, ensuring that that's maintained as a priority for the zone. So next steps, as this is the first and second reading, there's still a little bit of work to be done. We're going to be working with the architect as well as the property owner, developer,
in drafting the housing agreement bylaw, as there are going to be housing there is an affordability aspect to this development. And so the number of units that have been proposed is 2, but there is a little bit of flexibility and willingness there to enter into more. There are incentives for entering into housing agreements, both on the DCC side as well as the community contribution. And so I want to provide for a little bit of flexibility in that negotiation. There is an option to include the housing agreement into the development agreement phase of things to formalize that as sort of a zoning or a condition of zoning approval. But like I mentioned, there are incentives for the property owner and developer to integrate that housing agreement outside of the bounds of the covenant. The development agreement would then focus primarily on form and character if council wishes. But as I mentioned, the intent of this zone is to create a bit of a generalized opportunity. And so focusing in on heavily on form and character may not be advisable at this time. The water service connection, as always, is going to be a major consideration. And so that will be included, as well as sprinkler requirement for fire suppression. There is a sprinkler, there is a hydrant within proximity of the building, but this will alleviate some of the deficiencies that were noted. And then the last element would be easements. So both for access as well as for servicing. So the sewer servicing that now supports the property wouldn't be sufficient for the larger development, but could be maintained for the single family dwelling. So there's just some workaround to be done with Public Works and determining what the best approach is. So that being said, our recommendation today is to move forward with the first and second reading. But I'm open to any questions you may have.
We drop the screen share so I can see if maybe the law is. Great, thank you. Yeah, so we'll start with maybe questions to clarity from council. And then we'll right to comments then. Councillor Thomas.
It'll be a little bit down the road, but I would like to see us hold really strong to our affordability part of the agreement. I know there's been some recent projects where we've started off by saying 2 units and then kind of got negotiated down to cash in lieu of. And I think it would be really important if we could, moving forward, try to keep the affordable units. Anytime somebody's given an opportunity to not provide that, they take the other option.
Any other comments from council? Have a quick, I'm very much in support, and I would reiterate, as Councillor Thomas said, in terms of having here in terms of the 2 units of potentially price restriction on there. Those are certainly, and I believe in your report that the proponents have expressed very much interest in supporting that. So as Councillor Thomas said, hold the feet to the fire, as they say. So I think it's an important component of this. There was, of course, always the questions around water allocation, and I think you've addressed some of those into the report. And certainly, I'm sure that's been reiterated to the proponents, so that they're very clear on that aspect. And I see you nodding your head, and I assume that was front and center there. So with that being said, if there's no other comments or questions from council, if somebody would like to read the recommendation.
I move that District of Tofino zoning amendment bylaw number 1352/2025 be introduced and read first and second time.
Second.
Second by Councillor McMaster. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carried. Next up on to the agenda, 10.4, and it looks like you're still standing there. It's another zoning amendment bylaw number 1355, the central service structures. Did you read that?
No, I just scrolled down on my screen. I'm still very close to number 2.
So for clarity, this second zoning amendment is number 355. And the subject property, as you can see there on the screen, it consists of 3 lots, being a combination of a total of about 1.5 acres. So there's a lot of discussion and still in the works of planning related to where specifically the future structures are going to be placed. And so this zoning amendment is sort of being approached in a bit of a sense of laying the groundwork or sort of getting this sort of regulatory piece out of the way to allow for further works to be conducted on the design phase, as well as sourcing funding, etc. So the total lot area, as mentioned, is about 1.5 acres. It's going to include a parcel, a portion of the DL 117 that is currently regulated under the provincial crown grant. So there's a red dash line there that you can see is delineating between the rural land use designation as well as the industrial. So it's a split zone as well as a split land use designation. The zone A4 on the left as well as the industrial M3 on the right. So this zoning amendment boils down to three fundamental pieces. The first and foremost is adding the definition of drill tower. In the report, I did note that there was already an exception for or accommodation for fire and hose towers. So going through this exercise of trying to figure out where this structure actually sat within that language, it's very similar to the use and structure or their scale and size of, say, a hose tower or fire tower. So by adding in the definition for a drill tower and limiting it to 3 stories, it adds clarity for the application of the zoning bylaw as well as interpretation of where those exemptions apply. The second component, as I just mentioned, was then adjusting the Part 4 provision that allows for the height exemption for fire and hose towers will now accommodate for the drill tower itself. There have been designs that you may have seen, different iterations of the fire hall that actually have an element built into the design that looks as though it's got a stairwell. That would serve as a similar sort of mechanism or apparatus to the drill tower. So that will also accommodate a potential height increase or overage on the hall itself. So something to note. And then for the because we're looking at maintaining the zoning across the A4 and the M3 to maintain the industrial uses and maintain the rural zoning. We're just looking to add a site-specific zoning condition of use for those zones in particular for the lots in question. So what that looks like is in the A4 zoning, there would be a provision at the bottom that allowed for the specific lot to be utilized for civic and assembly use. So this not only accommodates it maintains the existing zoning, but also allows for a little bit of adaptability for evolving uses of district lands over time, depending on how those spaces are adjusted to meet the needs of the community. Again, sort of overarching highlights. There was alignment with the V2A as well as OCP and then general land use policy for industrial way. There is support for expanding or ensuring that our emergency services are adequate to support a growing population as well as meet the needs of today. So this zoning amendment will support the community's desire to ensure that we're able to expand our emergency services. And this meets the growth objectives as well as overall community resilience. There was also, as I mentioned, maintaining the zones, the current uses on those zones. And that is to accommodate for the existing uses, the public works yards, et cetera, that do require an industrial zoning. And as I mentioned already, provides flexibility for evolving needs. So next steps, as I mentioned, this is going to serve as a bit of a laying the groundwork for the continued work towards formalizing the fire hall as well as the fire training facility. And so we are going to continue working with the province to negotiate the terms of that crown grant to see how we can work within that DL 117 until such time as that is finalized. We'll be looking to utilize the properties 610 and 620 for interim uses. And so we're going to be working with the Tofino Fire Society to lock in that lease that will ensure a lot of the considerations that were noted, environmental, protections for the lowland, wetland, as well as ensuring that we have all of the considerations basically locked in to a formal lease. And then once we have that lease negotiated, then we're going to be looking at processing the building permits, development permits, and all those sort of consequential building and development elements that come with the building and application of the project. Moving to the recommendation. So the recommendation today is that the first reading is introduced and read a first time, allow us to move through more additional negotiations and working out some of the finer details of the project. And I look forward to answering any questions that you have.
Council, if there's any questions for Claire?
No, sorry, that'll be fun.
I just have a quick question. In the report, one of the highlights was to support the expansion of a potential future fire hall, and so this zoning or this amendment would allow for that potential. And I'm just wondering, and you might not be able to answer this, we've had many grant applications for a new fire hall, and because we know the one we have is not serviceable in a seismic event potentially, and we're looking forward to potentially having a new one in the future. Is there adequate space within, and I don't know the dimensions there, but would there be adequate space within that proposed area?
The question through the chair. So in my conversations with those that are involved with the sort of design and planning phase, as you've probably seen various iterations of that design. And so there has to be some flexibility to sort of accommodate which parcels we're going to be able to utilize. But there has been talk about, changing the location slightly, moving different elements of public works over to where there are spaces available on the other side of the office. And so there will be an expectation of a certain amount of evolution or adaptability required to meet the needs. Yeah.
Thank you. Councilor So, you had a comment.
Yeah, I just want to thank you in this report. It fleshed out some previous comments and questions regarding the water drainage measures that would be taken to improve the site. And the report really outlines the fact that this is an already disturbed parcel of land, and that a lot of measures would be improving and preventing further water table contamination and conflict.
Any comments from council? So, would someone like to read the recommendation?
I'll move that District of Tofino zoning amendment bylaw number 1355/2025 be introduced and read a first time.
Second.
Councilor, comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Seeing none, motion carried. Next up on the agenda, this quick 2026 council meeting and acting mayor schedule. I know that if there's no, this should be very straightforward, unless there's any comments or questions from council on this. I'm glad it's here so we can get next year's our work plans put together. Seeing none, the recommendations. Anyone like to read those out, please?
I'll read it. I'll move that the 2026 regular council and committee of the whole meeting schedule attached as appendix 1 is staff report titled 2026 council meeting and acting mayor schedules dated November 25th, 2025 be approved.
Second by Councilor Thomas. Any comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Seeing none, motion carried.
And I'll move also that councillors be designated to serve as acting mayor in 2026 in accordance with appendix 2 attached to staff report titled 2026 council meeting and acting mayor schedules dated November 25th, 2025.
Second by Councilor Thomas. What other comments? Call the question. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carried. Oh, okay, I thought your hand went up. It was just delayed there, Mayor Law. Yes, you may. We'll take a 2-minute recess. Point of privilege. Agenda, we have a bylaw 11.1 up for adoption, the District of Tofino official community plan amendment bylaw number 1290.01 2025 is up for adoption. There's no comments or questions regarding this. Pretty straightforward. Someone would like to move the recommendation?
I move that the District of Tofino official community plan amendment bylaw number 1290.01 2025 be adopted.
Seconded by Councillor Thomas. No comments or questions, I hope. All those in favor? None opposed, motion carried. Next up on the agenda is, well, there is no unfinished business. Agenda item number 13, business initiated by council members. Councillor Sloman.
Yeah, sorry. On November 12th, the Rec Advisory Committee met and we had a second draft update on the Recreation and Parks Master Plan and had verbal updates on the 2025 Kids Access Fund and year-end update as well. And on October 28th, the Tourism Tofino board met and we had an update from the government's committee, and a motion was made to secure rental accommodation for the month of December. Because they're looking to hire a new marketing director and they may need that for that to fill that position. And the destination stewardship plan was adopted. The 2026 operating budget was approved. And the president, Olson, will be moving in January and Shrek board member.
Councillor Thomas.
I've got a couple notice of motions to bring forward on December 9th for resolutions for AVICC and UBCM. One is going to be a resolution related to split tax on short-term rental accommodations, looking to approach the Ministry of Finance about floor plan usage similar to other home-based occupations. And then the other resolution that I think Tofino should look at bringing forward or what we talked about is looking for redefinition for the strata hotels, because currently the strata hotels for split classification with short-term rentals is for buildings that are 20 units or over, and we have a couple of buildings that are smaller than that, and they are being used as commercial properties, and we were looking for the opportunity to tax them as such. But in order to do that, we need that definition to change. Yeah. So we'll be coming forward in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Look forward to seeing those on the agenda. Is there any other? No, I have a couple of items. One, we had the Wickennish Community School where we had somewhat of an abbreviated, but I did want to bring up one of the big highlights, and I think I alluded to that during the WePack fundraiser that was held last week. Is that the opportunity for our K through 7 swim lessons for the school, and that will be at Ocean Village again. That's a combination of the PAC and SD 70 and the school itself. So really looking forward to that. It's been going on for years. We very much appreciate that. That was just a highlight there. And then I do have an update and I'll be looking at a resolution from council regarding on Wednesday, we had the Regional Hospital Board meeting. And at that meeting, as you may be all aware, that we've been looking to advance the concept plan with government. And so the concept plan had been submitted way back in 2024, and at the time to the Ministry of Health. That has changed to now it's the Ministry of Infrastructure, a newly created ministry at the provincial level that's basically all the big infrastructure province in the province are going through that ministry, everything from schools to bridges, tunnels, and hospitals. So at the hospital board meeting, representative from Island Health gave a report that the concept plan that the collective we had been working so hard to bring forward to government was not accepted by the Ministry of Infrastructure. They were looking to have revisions, sending it back to Island Health with revisions to the concept plan. This has been a great disappointment. to the board, as well as to many in our communities, because the work that's been gone in has gone on for years. The understanding, there was limited information as to why the revisions, other than there were 2 comments around the service levels. They'll be looking at just an acute care facility, which was certainly not in the concept plan. There was much more of a campus of care type approach that we were looking at. So there were a number of comments around that. The other piece, of course, was that it's too expensive. And so looking at ways of bringing down those costs. So at the Regional Hospital Board meeting, 2 resolutions were put forward. One reaching out to our MLA, expressing our disappointment around that. It's not quite a rejection of the concept plan, but certainly sending it back for revisions to be resubmitted. So that's a letter, and also a letter to the Minister of Infrastructure, the Ministry of Infrastructure, asking for representation to meet with the hospital board, the Regional Hospital Board, to give clarification as to why that concept plan was in fact not accepted as submitted. And then further to the letter to the MLA was, there was, Island Health had also indicated that they had not enough information received from the Ministry of Infrastructure around what was required for that revision of the concept plan. So within that ask of our MLA was to expedite the Ministry of Infrastructure to send that information that's required by Island Health to make those revisions to the concept plan, to be able to advance it to the next stage, which is the business planning phase. So with that long-winded explanation, there was a lot of disappointment, and members of the community have already reached out with their disappointment. So what I might ask council, because of the expediency of this, is, and I have, I may have to indulgence, I just crafted a potential, I like to write a letter to our MLA from the District of Tofino and the Mayor and Council regarding the request to express our disappointment and to basically reiterate from the Regional Hospital Board's demand that the Ministry of Infrastructure expedite the information needed by Island Health to revise the concept plan. I have back to and I'll read it out, and if it doesn't have to be exactly as, and I do have the almost a copy and paste of the resolution that was submitted by the Regional Hospital Board, which I think covers the topic at hand. But I'll just read out as to what I'm proposing: that the staff be authorized to send a letter to MLA Osborne with a copy to the appropriate ministries to express our serious concern and disappointment regarding the Ministry of Infrastructure's decision to not accept the concept plan as submitted for rebuilding the Tofino General Hospital, and that the letter asks MLA Osborne to request that the Ministry of Infrastructure expedite the information by Island Health to understand how to revise the concept plan. There is a more elegant in our resolution from the Regional Hospital Board. This is pretty darn close to it. So I'd like to make that motion, and if there's any questions or comments, thank you for seconding, Councillor Sloan. If there's any questions or comments, I'd love to hear it. Mayor Law, please go ahead.
Yeah, just through the chair, just a point of clarification. Is this a letter from council to the minister or MLA? It's not on behalf of the hospital board. This is from council.
Correct. Yes, Mayor Law. It would be from council, and there's been a reach out to the other First Nations in the community, other community service groups, to the District of Tla-o-qui-aht to write separate letters expressing their concern, because this, as you know, is a regional approach to the the potential new hospital facility in our region. So yes, the answer to your question is it would be from a mayor and council of the District of Tofino.
Okay, so and this is a request from the hospital board.
No, it is coming outside of the hospital board, and I'm bringing it to mayor and council here to each one of those different regional entities. I think it's important to send that information, that letter to our MLA to expressing our concern and disappointment, and looking for action to expedite the moving to complete the concept plan and to move us on to the business planning phase. This has already been delayed long enough, as you are well aware of. Any other questions or comments? Call the question. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carried.
Can I just have a question about that? A follow-up question is: will Island Health be delivering that information to council, Tofino Council? I know we've been meeting with them yearly.
Yeah.
This is quite a shocker. So I'm wondering if they're going to give us. I guess this is maybe a question. Maybe you would know just from discussions in the hospital board. Are they planning to deliver this information to council officially?
Yeah. No, Mayor Law. The Island Health representative that delivered the information is now the kind of, unfortunately, the go-between. The decision making at this point in time sits with the Ministry of Infrastructure. They were just the bearer of bad news. Island Health at this point in time. The Regional Hospital Board has requested a meeting with the Minister of Infrastructure, or the Ministry of Infrastructure, to explain the position on not accepting the concept plan as submitted. And so at that time, I feel I could report back to council as to the if there was. Are you suggesting maybe that we would like to invite either the Ministry of Infrastructure or Island Health? Island Health is somewhat out of the loop, only in the sense that they're looking for clarification from the Ministry of Infrastructure on the revised concept plan to be resubmitted.
Yeah, I would personally. The question for me, you're asking me, is my personal opinion is that. That the District of Tofino should request a meeting with Island Health to get the update. Maybe there's going to be more updates, and then that's like I said, we've been meeting with them for a long time. Every UBCM, this has been front and center, and I think it warrants a meeting with Island Health directly, and then maybe some further action with our MLA or the Minister of Health to go to bat.
Yeah, and that's part of the outreach right now through many of the regional players from all the nations on the coast, from some of this community service, from our chambers of commerce here in Tofino and Ucluelet, as well as a number of other organizations. I know that there has been a request to come back to the Regional Hospital Board. We could certainly ask Island Health. They're somewhat in a hands-up position themselves, because they're waiting for clarification from the Ministry of Infrastructure as how they are to proceed at that time. And when and that's the point of some of the letters that are being written, is to put to our MLA for our MLA to put pressure onto the Ministry of Infrastructure to expedite that information that'll be required for Island Health to resubmit that concept plan to the Ministry of Infrastructure. I don't know if my feeling is to be able to wait for that feedback to come back to the Regional Hospital Board, and I can report back to council, and if we're not happy with the information that's there, we could certainly at that time request a meeting with Island Health, or probably more specifically with the Ministry of Infrastructure to provide that information to us directly. Would that suffice, or are you looking to something a little more concrete in terms of the meeting with Island Health? I'm not sure exactly what they'd be able to tell us. That update that they gave to us, gave to the regional hospital board, was about all the information they had, which I've relayed here to council.
Well, see, I just, you know, again, I think that the District of Tofino has a special relationship with Island Health. The hospital has been top of mind. It's in our district. You know, I just think that noting the history we've had with Island Health, it warrants a meeting. We'll wait.
Any other comments from council? Seeing none, we'll move into the next part of the agenda, a question period. I'll look up to Ms. McDonald to see if there's any questions that have come on online or in the gallery.
Chair Stere, we still have some members of the public in the Zoom chat. For those of you online, once again, if you'd like to ask a question, please enter your name and address in the chat now. So calling once, calling twice, calling 3 times. There's no questions in the Zoom chat, and the same for the members of the public in the gallery here. If you'd like to ask a question, please raise your hand now. Calling once, calling twice, calling 3 times, no questions.
Great, thank you, Mr. Goff. If someone would do the honor of moving us into closed.
Move that the meeting be closed to the public pursuant to sections 91A, 92B of the community charter to discuss matters relating to 91A, personal information about an identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the municipality or another position appointed by the municipality. 91C, labor relations or other employee relations. 91L, discussions between the officers and employees respecting municipal objectives, measures, and progress reports for the purposes of preparing an annual report under section 98, annual municipal report. 92B, the consideration of information received and held in confidence relating to negotiations between the municipality and provincial government or the federal government or both, between provincial government or the federal government or both and a third party, between the municipality and another local government or between another local government and the third party, or between the municipality and a First Nation or prescribed Indigenous entity, or between a First Nation or prescribed Indigenous entity and a third party.
Second by Councillor Anderson. All those in favor? Seeing none opposed, motion carried. We'll take a 10-minute recess to move us into closed.